Ever noticed how everything changes the moment you stop chasing? That person who barely responded suddenly blows up your phone. That job you stopped pursuing sends an offer. That opportunity you walked away from suddenly becomes available. This isn't just coincidence, it's psychology in action. When you chase, you hand over all your power. You become the hunter, and they become the prize. But flip that script and watch what happens. They panic, they wonder why you stopped, they question your value, and most importantly, they start chasing you. Today, we're diving deep into why this happens and how it works. You'll see the exact psychological triggers that make people panic when you withdraw your attention. You'll learn the biological reasons behind this reaction that most people have no idea about. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding human behavior and reclaiming your power in any situation. By the end of this video, you'll know precisely why stopping the chase creates such a powerful response and how to use this knowledge ethically in your relationships, career, and life. The proof is undeniable, and once you see it, you'll never approach pursuit the same way again. Think about the last time you desperately wanted something, maybe a limited edition item online, a promotion at work, or someone's attention. That feeling of urgency, that's your brain on dopamine, the chemical that drives pursuit. Chasing activates our brain's reward system. We're hardwired to want what we can't easily have. It's how humans survive for thousands of years, hunting, gathering, pursuing resources. This same circuit fires when we chase people. When you chase someone, you signal something critical to their subconscious. You're placing higher value on them than yourself. You're telling them they're the prize, not you. This creates an imbalance that feels comfortable for them. They know where they stand above you. But this dynamic creates a dangerous situation. The more you chase, the less attractive you become. It's a paradox that plays out in relationships every day. The pursuer becomes less valuable simply by pursuing. Evolutionary psychology explains this perfectly. Historically, high-value individuals didn't need to chase, they were chased. When you chase, you trigger an ancient recognition pattern that categorizes you as lower status. This is why chasing rarely works. It's fighting against deeply ingrained psychological patterns. The person being chased enjoys the validation without needing to invest. They get all the benefits of your attention with none of the work. Most people caught in the chasing cycle don't realize they're trapped in biological programming. They believe persistent pursuit shows dedication. In reality, it communicates desperation. Scarcity drives value in everything. Limited edition products sell for higher prices. Rare metals cost more than common ones. And people who make themselves scarce become more valuable in others' perception. This isn't manipulation. It's understanding human nature. When you chase, you signal abundance, that you're readily available. When you stop chasing, you signal scarcity, that you're a limited resource. The human brain immediately recalculates your value. Those who grasp this principle gain tremendous power in social dynamics, not to control others, but to establish healthy foundations for genuine connections by refusing to participate in unbalanced pursuits. Pulling away triggers something primal in human psychology. When someone expects your attention and suddenly loses it, their entire perception shifts. What was once guaranteed now feels threatened. This activates what psychologists call loss aversion. People feel losses much more intensely than gains. Most individuals build their self-image partly on how others respond to them. When you've been chasing someone, you become a reliable source of validation in their mental landscape. They may not consciously acknowledge it, but your pursuit provides steady confirmation of their worth. Removing that creates a vacuum. This vacuum generates immediate cognitive dissonance. Their brain asks, why did this person stop pursuing me? Am I no longer valuable? What changed? These questions create mental discomfort that demands resolution. Panic is often the first response. Fear of missing out intensifies this reaction. When you were chasing, they had the luxury of taking their time deciding about you. Now that you've withdrawn, they face a potential deadline. Humans hate deadlines on decisions that previously felt open-ended. Studies show that uncertainty amplifies emotions. When you were chasing, they knew exactly where you stood. Now that you've stopped, they face ambiguity about your feelings and intentions. This ambiguity creates anxiety that can quickly escalate to panic. Social validation plays a crucial role too. People often value others based on how much social attention they receive. When you were pursuing them, they could dismiss your attention. But when you redirect that attention elsewhere, they suddenly question if they misjudged your social value. Attachment systems activate in response to withdrawal. Even someone who wasn't romantically interested may have formed an attachment to your attention. Breaking that attachment triggers the same brain regions involved in physical pain, a genuine neurological panic response. Status recalibration happens instantly. When you stop chasing, you disrupt the power dynamic. They must reconsider their position in relation to you. This forced reassessment can be deeply unsettling for someone accustomed to being the pursued party. Most revealing is how this panic exposes true feelings. Someone who genuinely had no interest won't panic when you pull away. They'll feel relief. But someone who enjoyed your pursuit, who saw potential but took it for granted, they'll feel the ground shifting beneath them and reach out to regain solid footing. Scarcity drives value in every area of life. Limited edition products sell out instantly. Rare minerals command astronomical prices. Front row concert tickets disappear in seconds. This principle operates just as powerfully in relationships, though most people fail to recognize it. When something becomes rare or threatened, human desire for it intensifies. This psychological trigger works regardless of actual value. Perceived scarcity alone is enough to amplify desire. Dating apps exploit this principle perfectly, creating artificial scarcity through time-limited matches and restricted messaging. Research from social psychology demonstrates this effect consistently. Studies show people rate identical partners as significantly more attractive and desirable when they believe those partners are in high demand or difficult to obtain. This explains why someone who barely noticed you might suddenly become intensely interested when they see others pursuing you. Availability heuristics play a major role here. Constant availability signals low value to primitive brain circuits. Someone always available, always texting back immediately, always free when asked, their perceived value diminishes simply through abundance. No logical reasoning changes this instinctual response. Contrast this with someone who maintains healthy boundaries, has a full life, and isn't always immediately accessible. Their time and attention become valuable commodities. Each interaction feels meaningful rather than expected or guaranteed. Relationship patterns demonstrate this repeatedly. People often take for granted what's always available. Then panic strikes when that reliability disappears. Suddenly, what seemed ordinary becomes precious. The partner who was ignored becomes the focus of intense interest once they withdraw. Economic principles apply directly to emotional economies. Supply and demand remains constant, whether discussing diamonds or devotion. Oversupply your attention and its market value crashes. Create appropriate scarcity and watch its value skyrocket. Healthy relationships balance this equation naturally. Both partners value each other's time and presence without manipulation. But in unbalanced dynamics, the over-pursuing partner unwittingly devalues themselves through abundance. Implemented ethically, this knowledge helps establish balanced connections. By respecting your own time and energy as valuable resources, you communicate clearly that your presence has worth. This isn't about playing games, it's recognizing fundamental human psychology. Most relationship advice completely misses this critical dynamic. They suggest more pursuit, more effort, more availability. This approach backfires spectacularly by flooding the market with your emotional supply, driving down your perceived value precisely when you're trying to increase it. Clear signs emerge when someone starts panicking after you stop pursuing them. Sudden increased communication frequency stands out immediately. Someone who took hours or days to respond now messages back within minutes. This timing shift isn't coincidental. It's a direct response to perceived scarcity of your attention. Text messages and calls develop a distinctive urgency. Messages come with questions designed to prompt responses, creating conversational hooks you're expected to grab. What are you doing later? Did you see that thing I sent? These questions serve as thinly veiled attempts to reestablish connection. Social media behavior changes dramatically. They might start viewing all your stories, liking old posts, or commenting on content they previously ignored. Digital breadcrumbs left intentionally across your profile signal their renewed interest without risking direct rejection. Curious inquiries about your dating life materialize from nowhere. Friends mention they've been asked about you. Are they seeing anyone? Becomes a common question, circulated through mutual connections. This information gathering mission helps them assess the competitive landscape. Jealousy indicators appear when you interact with others. Comments with subtle territorial undertones emerge, light touches when others are nearby. Position shifts to place themselves between you and potential competitors. These unconscious behaviors broadcast their anxiety about losing position. Sudden generosity surfaces unexpectedly, offers to help with projects, unexpected gifts, invitations to events. This value demonstration attempts to remind you what they bring to your life now that they fear losing access to you. Reference increases to shared experiences, and inside jokes signal panic too. Remember when we? Statements create emotional tethers to the past, attempting to strengthen bonds they feel weakening. These nostalgic callbacks aim to reactivate positive associations. Presentation improvements become noticeable, enhanced appearance when meeting you, more effort into photos they know you'll see, status signaling through stories, showcasing achievements or social proof. These displays attempt to increase their perceived value now that yours has risen. Availability expands dramatically. Someone previously busy suddenly has wide open schedules. Plans that were impossible before now work perfectly with your timeline. This flexibility reveals the priority shift that occurs when panic sets in. Testing boundaries happens frequently during panic phases. Small pushes to see if you'll return to pursuit mode, creating minor emergencies requiring your attention, manufacturing scenarios where they need you briefly, hoping brief engagement extends into permanent patterns. These tests assess whether your behavioral shift is temporary or permanent. Dating scenarios reveal this psychology most clearly. First dates often create imbalanced pursuit patterns. One person leaves excited and initiates immediate follow-up communication. Multiple texts before a response, suggestions for second dates within hours of parting. This enthusiasm, while genuine, shifts the power dynamic dramatically. Meanwhile, the pursued party experiences decreasing interest proportional to increasing pursuit. Each unreturned message elevates their position while reinforcing the pursuer's lower status. Many promising connections die in this initial phase through over-pursuit alone. Early dating communication patterns establish relationship templates that prove difficult to change later. Someone accustomed to receiving constant attention without reciprocating builds expectations of continued imbalance. Breaking this pattern later becomes nearly impossible without complete withdrawal. Contrast this with measured engagement, equal response times, balanced initiation of plans, mutual investment signals. This approach maintains equilibrium where both parties remain curious, rather than one becoming satiated with attention while the other grows desperate for acknowledgement. Dating apps magnify these dynamics exponentially. Endless options create artificial abundance mindsets where genuine connections struggle to form. People pursue intensely, then abandon efforts at the first sign of resistance, creating chaotic patterns where nobody properly values anyone. Ghosting situations demonstrate the panic principle perfectly. Someone disappears without explanation, presumably having found better options. The rejected party often continues pursuing through unanswered messages. But those who immediately stop chasing frequently witness the ghoster returning days or weeks later, suddenly curious about what happened. Relationship transitions intensify these patterns. Moving from casual dating to exclusivity discussions typically triggers pursuit imbalances. The more invested party usually increases pursuit, inadvertently lowering their perceived value precisely when they aim to enhance it. Friends with benefits arrangements collapse frequently due to pursuit imbalances. Once one party begins chasing for deeper commitment, the relationship dynamic deteriorates rapidly. Yet those who pull back often find their casual partner suddenly proposing the commitment they previously avoided. Love triangles showcase this principle most dramatically. The person being pursued by two others invariably finds themselves more attracted to whoever seems less interested. This isn't conscious manipulation, it's automatic recalibration of perceived value based on scarcity. Modern dating advice often suggests just be yourself while ignoring these fundamental psychological triggers. Being authentic matters, but understanding pursuit dynamics prevents the common pattern where increasing effort produces decreasing results, leaving many confused about why their genuine interest seems to repel rather than attract. Neurochemically, attraction functions through complex biological systems driven by evolutionary imperatives. Dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin create the characteristic excitement of new attraction, but these chemicals operate differently during pursuit phases. Brain scans reveal pursuit activates similar neural pathways as addiction, explaining why chasing feels compelling despite diminishing returns. Uncertainty maximizes these neurochemical responses. Studies show dopamine peaks not during reward delivery, but during anticipation, under conditions of uncertainty. This explains why mixed signals and unpredictable responses generate stronger attraction than consistent positive feedback. Researchers found attraction intensifies most when someone is 70% sure of reciprocation rather than 100% certain. Biological anthropology offers further insights. Historically, human females selected mates displaying resource abundance and social status, while males sought fertility indicators. These ancient selection criteria still influence modern attraction despite cultural evolution. When someone stops chasing, they inadvertently signal high status through behavioral independence, triggering primitive attraction circuitry. Attachment theory provides another framework. Three primary attachment styles: secure, anxious, and avoidant respond differently to pursuit dynamics. Anxiously attached individuals chase intensely and panic severely when pursuit stops. Avoidants withdraw when pursued, then chase when abandoned. Secure individuals maintain healthy boundaries regardless of pursuit patterns. Facial microexpressions reveal attraction despite verbal denials. Pupils dilate, nostrils flare slightly, and eyebrows raise momentarily upon seeing someone attractive. These involuntary responses often appear most strongly in those claiming disinterest yet experiencing panic when pursuit ends. Their biology betrays their conscious narrative. Reciprocal liking research demonstrates we become attracted to those who show interest in us, but only when that interest feels earned rather than freely given. Interest perceived as too easily obtained loses value instantly. This explains the common phenomenon where showing less interest initially creates stronger attraction long term. Neuroscientist research identifies uncertainty as key in romantic attraction. MRI studies show brain regions associated with rewards activate more powerfully under conditions of uncertainty than certainty. Someone who stops chasing creates precisely this uncertainty gap that maximizes neurological response. Proximity studies reveal physical closeness breeds familiarity and attraction, except when that proximity feels forced through pursuit. Voluntary proximity powerfully attracts while pursued proximity repels. This distinction explains why creating space often increases attraction while constant presence diminishes it. Sociosexual orientation determines how these principles manifest individually. Restrictive individuals require emotional connection before physical intimacy, while unrestricted individuals separate physical from emotional attraction. Both types respond to pursuit dynamics, but display panic differently when pursuit ends. Restrictive types withdraw further, while unrestricted types often intensify pursuit. Misapplying this principle creates numerous problems that undermine potential connections. Going completely cold after intense pursuit appears manipulative rather than authentic. This dramatic shift signals game playing instead of genuine recalibration. Healthy distance develops gradually, allowing both parties to adjust to new dynamics without triggering defense mechanisms. False withdrawal represents another common mistake. People pretend to pull back while constantly monitoring responses, checking messages, viewing stories, and remaining hyper-aware of the other person's activities. This surface-level withdrawal fails because underlying energy remains focused on pursuit, something intuitively sensed by the other party. Stopping pursuit with expectations causes significant issues. Many withdraw attention specifically to trigger panic, then feel disappointed when immediate results don't materialize. This outcome-focused approach misses the point entirely. Withdrawal should come from self-respect and boundary setting, not as a manipulation tactic expected to yield specific responses. Time miscalculation derails many attempts at rebalancing dynamics. Pursuit patterns established over months cannot reset in days. Long-term imbalances require proportional readjustment periods. Those expecting instant results typically resume pursuit prematurely, reinforcing the original problematic dynamic even more strongly. Overcorrection happens frequently. Someone realizes they've been overpursuing and swings completely into rejection or rudeness. This approach damages connection rather than rebalancing it. Healthy withdrawal maintains respect and kindness while establishing appropriate boundaries. Mixed signals confuse rather than attract. Withdrawing attention Monday, then pursuing intensely Tuesday creates psychological whiplash rather than attraction. Inconsistency generates anxiety instead of interest. Clear, consistent boundaries prove most effective for healthy rebalancing. Pursuit substitution merely changes tactics while maintaining the same energy. Stopping direct messages but increasing social media likes, switching from texts to accidental encounters, or using friends as information sources. These approaches simply shift pursuit to less obvious channels without addressing the fundamental imbalance. Explanation mistakes occur regularly. People withdraw, then explain exactly why they're withdrawing, undermining the entire process. I'm pulling back because I've been pursuing too much. Signals continued focus on the other person. Authentic withdrawal requires no announcement or explanation. It simply happens. Rebound pursuing appears frequently. Initial withdrawal followed by intense return to pursuit at the first positive signal. This pattern reinforces the original dynamic even more powerfully by demonstrating the withdrawal was temporary and insincere. Withdrawal without self-improvement wastes valuable recalibration time. While rebalancing external dynamics, internal growth opportunities go ignored. Effective withdrawal includes redirecting previous pursuit energy into personal development, creating genuine increases in value rather than merely manipulating perception. Authenticity forms the foundation of healthy non-pursuit. Genuine self-respect naturally limits overinvestment in those showing minimal interest. This approach differs fundamentally from tactical withdrawal aimed at triggering specific responses. Authentic boundaries flow from valuing yourself rather than manipulating others. Focus redirection creates natural space without games. Investing energy into personal growth, friendships, career advancement, and meaningful hobbies automatically reduces excessive focus on romantic pursuits. This organic redistribution of attention happens naturally when living a balanced life. Communication clarity prevents misunderstandings. Responding when appropriate but maintaining reasonable timeframes establishes healthy patterns. Neither instant replies nor deliberately delayed responses. Simply authentic communication rhythms that respect both your time and theirs. Interest remains acceptable when balanced with self-respect. Showing appropriate interest while maintaining personal boundaries creates healthy tension. This balance communicates both genuine attraction and personal value simultaneously, the most attractive combination possible. Reciprocity awareness prevents pursuit imbalances. Matching energy rather than exceeding it maintains equilibrium. When they text once, you text once. When they make plans once, you initiate next. This natural give and take creates sustainable dynamics without scorekeeping. Emotional honesty bypasses games entirely. Expressing genuine feelings when appropriate while accepting their response without pressure demonstrates both courage and respect. This transparency eliminates manipulation by making intentions clear while honoring others' autonomy. Opportunity filtering saves significant energy. Not every attraction deserves pursuit. Learning to recognize and release poor matches early prevents the exhausting cycle of pursuit, withdrawal, and panic entirely. This selectivity naturally maintains your value without manipulation. Response management establishes healthy patterns. answering messages when convenient for you rather than dropping everything instantly, making yourself available for quality interactions rather than constant low-value exchanges. These boundaries happen naturally when self-respect guides behavior. Attachment security prevents pursuit withdrawal cycles completely. Working towards secure attachment through therapy, reading, or personal development reduces anxiety-driven pursuit behaviors. Secure individuals naturally maintain healthy boundaries without conscious effort. Growth focus shifts energy positively, using time previously spent pursuing to develop skills, deepen friendships, and explore interests. This redirection benefits you regardless of others' responses while naturally increasing your attractiveness. Reality acceptance eliminates manipulation completely. Understanding some connections simply won't work, regardless of pursuit tactics. Accepting this reality allows clean breaks without withdrawal games. This mature approach may not trigger panic, but builds genuine self-respect. Worth recognition underpins everything. Deeply knowing your value exists independently of others' validation eliminates the need for manipulation completely. This internal security naturally creates appropriate boundaries, attracts healthy partners, and releases unhealthy dynamics without games or strategies. When you stop chasing, everything shifts. The power dynamic flips. The control returns to you. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding human psychology and respecting yourself enough to establish healthy boundaries. The panic that ensues when you withdraw excessive attention isn't just theoretical. It's proven through countless relationship patterns, scientific research, and evolutionary psychology. This reaction reveals important truths about how attraction actually works versus how we think it works. Most importantly, this knowledge frees you from the exhausting cycle of pursuit and rejection. By understanding these principles, you can create balanced connections built on mutual respect rather than desperate chasing or emotional manipulation. Remember that genuine connections form when both people value themselves and each other equally. Sometimes stepping back is the most powerful step forward you can take, not to manipulate, but to establish the foundation for something real. If this video helped you understand relationship dynamics better, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to our channel for more insights that challenge conventional wisdom and give you the psychological edge in all areas of life. The knowledge you gain today is just the beginning of what's possible when you truly understand human behavior.